Howdy y'all, Andy McCabe here, claims delegates, your restoration rebel leader. I like the sound of that. So I want to tell you about a word I learned today called Zugzwang. Zugzwang. It's a German word it's a chess term, meaning to force your opponent to take an action that is not necessarily in their best interest. All right, so how do you do that? Well, you do that by strategically placing your pieces. And there are rules in chess, right? There are hard and fast rules that you cannot break. So if you put your opponent in a compromising position, the rules dictate that certain things happen. So, how do you do that? Well, you do that by controlling information. All right, and obviously I'm going to come back to a insurance claim scenario. So you control not only the flow, the direction, and the quantity of information, and you restrict your opponent's scope as much as you humanly can. So how do you do that? How do you restrict the scope or shrink the responsibilities of an adjuster? Well, you need to realize that there's a very small group of things that an adjuster is actually responsible for. So you ask them right up front, and then you hold them to them for the life of the claim. For example, an adjuster has very few responsibilities. One of them, determine coverage. Is this a covered loss? It's a yes/no question. There is no gray, there is no maybe. What is covered in this loss, i.e., what is the scope of loss? What materials do we all agree have been damaged or potentially will be damaged? All right. Number 3, is there anything in the insurance policy which excludes any portion of coverage for this claim? And along those lines, is there any methodology or is there any guidelines from the insurance policy that are going to dictate how the project is mitigated or repaired? Are there any guidelines for that? Notice that I'm not asking for an estimate. I'm not asking for ACV, RCV value, because guess what? It's not really up to the adjuster. They are not estimators. And guess what? They're ahead of the curve on this, because guess why you have so many construction experts, right? You have so many consultants out there now, because at a macro level, they realize that they cannot be responsible for putting a number to these things. But I digress. Those 4 things you need to get from your adjuster, and then nothing else. You can tell him, hey, thanks, I'll let you know when I have an estimate from a contractor. That may or may not be an exact make. But I will let you know. Thank you for letting me know I have a covered loss. We agree on the damage scope of this loss. We're not seeing anything in the policy which says there's exclusions for this loss, and we're agreeing that I, as a contractor, get to determine the scope of repairs and the methodology that entails. You know, I'm going to put this together in a nice booklet, along with another booklet that's going to be Homeowner Claim 101, and you're going to hand it to every insured, especially on the residential level. You're going to hand it to them, you know, and say, you know what? I'm here to take care of you, but guess what? You have a responsibility to me, and here it is. You don't get to just file a claim and turn your brain off. Here are your responsibilities, and here are mine. And together, It's all about beginning with the end in mind. All right? If you don't really codify where you want this claim to go, what is a win, what is the perfect end look like, you're never going to get there. Too many of us just swoop in. We jump off our white horses. God knows I like being a cowboy. But we start swinging hammers and sucking water, and we do all this stuff, and we start throwing out unrealistic promises that somehow the homeowner has zero responsibility. We're going to take care of them, soup to nuts. It's not real. So I'm putting together those pamphlets, and the only people that are going to get them, that's right, you got to be here in September and October. September 29th, Restoration 2.0 Summit. Everyone's going to get one. And more. They're going to get a copy of the 24-hour tech. They're going to get 2 hours of consulting from Restoration Mastery. They're going to get a free roof scope and a free roof estimate from Right Loss in oh, sorry, fellas. Roof Shots, Certify. Oh, man, that's my bad. Anyway, I'm going to turn this off before I embarrass myself any further. You guys have a great weekend. We're going to do a live show on Monday, me and Clark Brown. All right, see you.